I bought an accident insurance policy for my family, but accidentally purchased a disaster insurance instead. My parents called me brainless, saying I jeopardized their security. My brother shoved me against the wall, and I ended up with a fractured hand. But soon a horrifying typhoon apocalypse hit. That wrong insurance. It turned out to be a lifesaver during the disaster. My family got insurance compensation, but didn't show me an ounce of gratitude. They left me on the stormy streets to fend for myself. Months on end, the city was wrecked by disaster, and I got swept into a sewer by the storm. I opened my eyes, back to the moment I bought the insurance. This time around, I'm planning to enjoy peace in a safe haven and let them face the typhoon's wrath themselves. Linda, are you sure you bought disaster insurance? Right after I placed the order, an insurance rep called to confirm. I held the phone with trembling hands, a chill creeping up my spine. Linda, are you there? The voice on the other end drawn me back. Are you sure you got disaster insurance and not personal accident insurance? They kept asking over and over. Hearing those words again made me feel uneasy. My mom was impatiently nudging me, her voice cutting. Just insurance, why's it taking so long? Hurry up and do your chores. My sister-in-law Candy chimed in sarcastically. Mom, Linda's a princess. She won't do dirty, tiring chores. My brother shouted next. If you don't do chores, get out. We don't support slackers. Can't even handle small tasks. What an ungrateful wretch. My dad's voice oozed contempt. Looking at their united front, I felt both angry and powerless. Last time, I tried so hard to pick the right accident policy for everyone's benefit. Then, my hyper-nephew John bumped into me, and in that moment of pain I slipped and bought disaster insurance instead. I figured it'd still protect them, so I didn't reorder. But when I told them, I expected some understanding. How stupid can you be? Messing up insurance. My dad was furious. They mocked me, acting like I was brainless, lazy, and worthless. Never mind the fact that it didn't cost them a thing. They only blamed me. My brother was so bitter he shoved me against the wall, breaking my hand. Not only did they refuse to take me to the hospital, they still made me do chores, like scrubbing shoes and washing dishes. Then a week later, the terrifying typhoon apocalypse arrived. Turns out, that insurance made all the difference. The company contacted us, offering refuge and emergency supplies. The whole family was overjoyed, packing up for the shelter immediately. Though they thrived during the disaster, they showed me no gratitude and felt no remorse for my broken hand. They even made me care for their every need. When I was so hungry I'd pass out, my brother injured my other hand in anger for grabbing food. They'd only give me leftover bones and broth, forcing me to eat like an animal just to survive a little longer. After the storm ended, trying to start anew, they still deemed me useless and tossed me onto the storm-ravaged streets. Days passed as the typhoon grew fiercer, destroying the city, sweeping me into the sewers, where I ultimately perished. In my final moments, I was overcome with deep disappointment in my family. I opened my eyes again, back to the day I was buying insurance for them. This time, I swore they'd reap what they sowed. John stuck his tongue out at me, taunting me with his carefree attitude towards my family's contempt. Snapping back to reality, I smiled and told the rep on the phone, yeah, I'm getting disaster insurance, and a few accident policies too. Made myself the sole beneficiary of their accident insurance. When the time comes, only I'll have refuge access. The insurance orders popped up on my phone quickly. As I looked at them, I couldn't help but grin. After paying, I sent the confirmation to our family group chat. My dad chuckled, about time you did something useful. He waved his hands around like he was practicing Tai Chi. My mom sneered, done yet? Get back to work. You're just sitting around on your phone. Candy glanced at me, then admired her designer bags and makeup. When I walked past, she guarded her stuff like I might take it. She had no idea those things were worthless during a storm apocalypse. Then my brother opened the fridge, saw only leftovers from last night, and angrily told me to go grocery shopping. At the market, I picked out fruits and veggies that'd rot quickly. The apocalypse was near anyway. No way was I giving them a comfortable, carefree life. Back home, my mom saw my bags full of mostly stale produce and even rotten leaves. She grabbed it, inspected, then dumped it all on the ground. Useless spender. Can't even buy groceries. What did you do with my money? She berated me without mercy. But I felt nothing inside. Just thinking about their past treatment fueled my anger. Every contribution, all the bills came from my pocket. I held my anger, made up a story that they were freebies. She nodded, always loving a bargain. Often she'd dig out expired food from trash, give it to me, causing me hospital trips with stomach pain. She was mocking me, saying I look so poor, eating whatever trashy garbage I can find. Ugh, so gross. When John saw me come back, he rammed into my stomach, almost knocking me over. Candy clapped from the side, praising him. My son is so strong. I'm so proud of you. Then John did the peace sign toward me. Bad auntie. I hate bad auntie. Candy smiled while patting his head. It was quite a heartwarming mother and child scene. Why don't you hurry up and cook? You want the whole family to starve? My brother scolded me angrily. I comforted myself, thinking when the apocalypse arrives, they'll see what happens, which calmed me before I went to make dinner. As I served the food, my dad criticized the taste, saying it's so bad, even a dog wouldn't eat it. Make something this horrible again, and I'll break your leg. My brother threatened, glaring at me. John went a step further, dumping the freshly cooked food all over me, and no one scolded him for wasting it. The whole family ganged up, saying the food I made was bad. They claimed I deserved it. It was my karma. Since they showed no respect for food, I thought when the typhoon apocalypse hits, they won't have a meal to eat. Remembering the past life, it was a geomagnetic storm that triggered the typhoon apocalypse. Not many days left now. While dealing with my family, I was also preparing for survival in the apocalypse. I spent all the money I'd saved over the years on supplies, converting whatever valuables I had into cash. I had over 5 million when combined with the emergency shelter supplies. It was enough to last through the typhoon apocalypse. After all, in an apocalypse, money is useless. Only food can keep you alive. I started cautiously buying supplies, trying not to draw attention. I bought from online and physical stores, and even ventured to remote villages to find non-perishable food and essentials. I rented a warehouse near the emergency shelter, and secretly stored long-term food supplies there. I picked high-energy, nutritious products to maintain energy and health during the apocalypse. Recognizing the importance of water, I got water purification devices, including portable filters, purification tablets, and water bags. For emergencies, I prepared multi-tools, knives, and some basic weapons. A comprehensive first aid kit was packed, with bandages, disinfectants, painkillers, antibiotics, and basic medical tools. If I find anyone needing help, I'll lend a hand if I can. Expecting power outages, I got hand-crank flashlights, solar chargers, candles, and loads of batteries for light. Worried about weather changes post-apocalypse, I got various seasonal clothes like winter garments, raincoats, gloves, and hats. I spent a good sum hiring workers to renovate the warehouse, adding insulation and reinforcing it against typhoons. Then I set up hidden observation points to monitor the outside environment better. As signs of the geomagnetic storm became more evident, I limited outings, focusing on moving supplies into the warehouse. With days of endless torrential rain, everyone started panic buying food, causing prices to skyrocket. At home, I was still in charge of buying groceries, but I only bought what's perishable and lacks energy for them. I wanted to watch as the family, who once mistreated me, fell in the apocalypse. My brother used to eat 2 big bowls of rice daily. Now looking at the table with pickles and porridge, he cursed me. You idiot, can't even buy vegetables? John, making faces, chimed in. Stupid auntie. I shrugged helplessly. Prices have gone up. Even vegetables cost hundreds now. I don't have that much money. My mom rolled her eyes. What about the money you earned over the years? Never willing to contribute to the family. Mom, you're welcome to check my room. There's nothing saved. I spread my hands, looking genuinely sincere. My brother gave me a disappointed look, then threw $1,000 at me. Irritated, he added, if you can't buy food, don't come home. Poor brother, he's dreaming. In the apocalypse, $1,000 gets you nothing. I acted pitifully and said, brother, you don't know how pricey it is out there. $1,000 might just get you a drink. But he didn't believe me and called me greedy, accusing me of stealing family money. Yet, reluctant to go out themselves, the family painfully handed me $50,000. At the supermarket, I again bought expensive but unsubstantial food. Rather than direct death, isn't it more painful to have hope and then lose it? Since they never cared about my life, I won't long for their false affection anymore. My mom smiled welcome when she saw the food I brought. But when our eyes met, her look was full of disdain. If it weren't for the rain, I wouldn't need you to buy this food I don't like, she said sarcastically. Trash you brought home. We'll just have to suffer through it to fill our bellies. My dad also mocked. Sure. But I wonder who will buy supplies when the typhoon hits. I smirked inside and put the food away. After all, I can't let my relatives starve. As I stored the food, John hurried over, rummaging through it. He ate snacks while watching TV, hiding his face with them when I looked over. Then he dumped all the snacks into his mouth right before my eyes. Candy snatched the snacks from him, saying, "Blame your aunt for buying so many snacks. They'll give you cavities." Failing to take them back, he angrily glared at me. His cavities were from sneaking candy at night, never brushing his teeth, yet I got blamed. Angry, he ran to my room, throwing my clothes on the floor, stomping on them. I can't remember how many times it's been. Every time I want to discipline him, my mom says he's still young, he doesn't understand. Why don't you just let it go? Candy would say, my son is such a good boy. If you hadn't provoked him, he wouldn't have touched your stuff. No matter what I do, it's always wrong. I want to teach him properly, help him grow into a decent person. But John grows up spoiled, always self-centered, and no matter what mistake he makes, it somehow ends up being my fault. Every day, he throws his socks around, even at my brother's bedside. They don't blame their son. Instead, they blame me for not washing the socks. The house is always a mess, but my mom just laughs and says he's handy and will have a bright future. The craziest thing is, he secretly started a fire and almost set the house ablaze. Yet Candy defends him, saying he's too young to understand, and it's my fault for not watching him. I've tried to advise them, but whether they listen or not is beyond my control. I went back to my room, hanging clothes by the window, looking out at the torrential rain and the howling winds. It wasn't until the news snapped me back to reality. It's continuous heavy rain, stay indoors. Make sure you have enough supplies and wait for our updates. The meteorological department is still investigating the situation. They simply said that due to a geomagnetic storm, there's an impact on the weather. They advised everyone to stay calm and not panic. I look at my family. No one seemed panicked at all. Everyone's busy with their own things. Finally, the apocalypse-level typhoon hit. Before it did, I made a final check and organized all the supplies. The city fell into chaos, but my family still thought it was just a small typhoon, and it would pass in days. They didn't care at all. As for me, I was fully prepared. I'm just waiting calmly for the right time to head to my shelter. When the typhoon apocalypse came, the sky stayed pitch black. You could only tell day from night by the time. The insurance company called, explaining that the policy offers emergency shelter and supplies. Last time was just like this, and I shared the news with my family. They happily packed up and left, but this time I won't be that foolish again. I explained the situation to the insurance company, saying we'd come later, and to hold on to the supplies for now. The constant news updates finally made my family start to panic. Mom and Dad rummaged through cupboards and the fridge, mostly finding fiber biscuits. They're filling but also aid digestion. Besides that, I also stocked up on lots of unhealthy snack foods for them. Seeing so many biscuits, Mom sighed with relief. Good thing I had Linda stock up. Now we won't run out of food. John snuck off with chips again, hiding in my room to eat. Of course, I'll cover for him, letting him eat more while he can because we might not have it later. When the weather seemed to improve, my brother forced me to go out and buy more food just in case. It might be the height of summer, but it was bitterly cold outside. I braved the wind and rain in a down jacket, wandered the supermarket, and returned empty-handed. Not because it was looted, more like I had zero intention of hauling anything back. Seeing me empty-handed, my brother was about to punch me in the head. I swiftly sidestepped him, dodging his strikes. Geez, What do we do now when there's nothing to buy? My brother's fist missed and slammed into the couch. Dad chimed in, such a waste. Since there's no food, you shouldn't eat. Right, if you don't work, you don't eat. Mom nodded in agreement. Yeah, some people shouldn't waste the family's food since they're so useless, Candy said, full of disdain. I couldn't help but think, what a family, you share blessings and hardships alike. I wonder, once food runs low, if they will still be so united? They eat fiber biscuits daily. I hide in my room, eating instant noodles with sausage. Hot meals are just better. Soon we face power shortages. The place went dark and water outages loomed. To restore water, buy storm shields for windows and handle bills. Mom and Dad dug into their retirement money, which wasn't much, just a bit to last a few days. The rest were fixed deposits they couldn't touch for another 10 years. And my brother? Forget it, he's hardly at work, frittering away what little paycheck he gets. To conserve energy, my parents decide we can only have one light on each day. But my little nephew never disappoints. He keeps yelling for TV. Each time he turns it on, Mom turns it off. He throws fits and even pees on their bed. On these stormy days, nothing dries, and Mom kicked me out of my room, taking over. It's her house. She can live where she wants and kick out whoever she wants, she says. I slept in the living room, sneaking my instant noodles there. With the apocalyptic typhoon, the neighborhood shut down. My brother spent days drinking. His face turned pale with dark circles deepening. He looked exhausted. I found his neck and chest covered with strange red streaks, forming spider-like webs. My heart sank. Is it spider angiomas? It didn't take long for Candy to spot this. Seeing those nasty streaks, she began covering her eyes around him. Sometimes, she'd accidentally catch sight and rush to the bathroom to vomit. My brother felt rejected, and they started sleeping separately. John found the spider-like spots intriguing, always touching where they branched out. When my parents found out, they quickly went online to consult with a doctor. After all, he's their only son. The doctor told them it's a spider angioma, a warning sign of worsening liver cancer. How could this happen? You scared your mom out of her mind. She's about to retire and doesn't want to bury her child. My mom collapsed on the couch yelling, "Look for some medicine to treat him instead of whining here," my dad said, covering his ears in frustration. But my mom searched everywhere and couldn't find anything suitable. Then Candy suddenly said, "Didn't Linda get us insurance last time? Maybe it can cover it." My mom rushed over and urged me to ask about it. But personal accident insurance doesn't cover liver cancer treatments. I called the insurance anyway to show them. "Sorry, Linda, liver cancer isn't covered by insurance, and we don't provide meds. Have a nice day." I put the call on speaker so they could hear it. My brother got upset. "Linda, what a useless insurance you bought, just like yourself. Useless little sis." John laughed beside me. In the end, my mom could only take his alcohol away, trying to stop his liver cancer from worsening. But even without drinking, the spider angiomas didn't disappear. Not only that, his symptoms got worse. His skin turned red and itchy. He often vomited, lost his appetite, and dropped 20 pounds despite weighing 180. My mom nagged daily, burned incense, and prayed for my brother's recovery. She was so worried, constantly searching online for treatments, and even thought of making broth with the ashes. After getting scolded fiercely by my brother, she gave up on that idea. My dad complained she was clueless, and the house reeked of incense. The smoke lingered, and opening the windows would ruin everything inside. My dad did nothing, but used my mom as his emotional outlet. As my brother's condition worsened, my parents grew more anxious. But they couldn't take him to the hospital, or get anything from closed pharmacies nearby. After much deliberation, they all looked at me. One glance, and I knew it was no good. They wanted me to go out in the storm for medicine. "Are you really asking me to go out?" "I'm scared of this weather," I asked, eyes wide and teary. "You'll be fine. You're lucky and will come back safe," my mom said with a fake smile. Just bring the medicine back, so her son would be healthy again. I knew her thoughts too well. With determination, I promised them I'd return safely. But the door locked behind me as I left. I quickly called insurance to get to an emergency shelter. That's where my happy life began. I moved emergency supplies into the storage settled things in, and lay on my comfy bed. I watched a home-installed camera via projector. Why making me eat these damn crackers with rice? I want meat. My mom almost dropped the food when my brother pushed it away. A meat lover. And he hadn't had any in weeks. Liver cancer wasn't his only weight loss reason. Why complain about meat? Get some outside if you want it. My dad yelled back angrily. Meat, I want meat. John joined in. My mom tried to calm them, but got pushed down. Enough. Combined age nearly 100 still bickering. Candy sat silently, ignoring them, eating her crackers. Eat, only care about eating. Help your mom up, my mom snapped at Candy. Candy gave her a look and unwillingly went to help. I watched the chaos with my steak, enjoying the spectacle. Then John remembered me. Get that useless auntie to bring back meat. My brother called me soon after. The phone rang, and I took my time answering. Can you hurry back? Bring a bunch of meat, my brother shouted angrily. Brother, it's too windy, I can't get back. I replied, trembling. What are you munching on? Found something good? Ran into some supplies, just got some crackers so I stored energy. I saved the rest for home. Dad murmured approvingly. Supplies will reach us soon, with lots of meat. I'll bring medicine back with it all. I said and heard laughter before the phone cut off. No such luck, even if they did reach us. Instead, they turned to the freezer's leftovers and had hot pot. A knock came, they froze then rejoiced. It wasn't supplies but neighbor Ken. Candy eagerly pulled him inside, regardless of why he came. He was there to mooch off, and Candy's hospitality surpassed her care for my brother. My brother nudged her. Their food wasn't even enough for themselves. Linda said we'd get stuff soon. Can't neighbors help each other? She reasoned. All agreed, and they shared a hot pot meal. Later, Candy convinced Ken to sleep over in my parents' room. When night came, Candy, wrapped in a towel, shyly entered Ken's room. By dawn, she returned to my brother's, wearing just thin pajamas, blushing and blissful. Man, I never expected to see such a dramatic scene late at night, when I couldn't sleep. I'm curious about how my brother will react when he finds out. The next day at breakfast, Candy kept her head down the entire time. No matter what anyone said, she didn't respond, just lost in her own world, occasionally smiling to herself. Every night, Candy would visit Ken. One night, my brother happened to see her leaving Ken's room. When he got up to use the bathroom, he grabbed her arm tightly, his eyes filled with anger, demanding to know what happened. Candy didn't answer directly. My brother's grip on her arm left it red, and their argument woke up the whole family. What are they fighting about in the middle of the night? I'm exhausted, my dad muttered, rubbing his eyes, clearly annoyed. My mom chimed in sharply, exactly, can't they just sleep? What's all the noise about? When my mom finally flipped the light switch, we could see what was happening. Candy's clothes were disheveled, and her neck was covered in hickeys. That's when Ken stepped out to see what was going on. My mom quickly ushered him back into his room, and pulled my brother and Candy aside. There are guests in the house. If you need to argue, do it in your room. She scolded them with a glare. Mom, she just came out of that room. What do you think happened in there? My brother shot back. Understanding dawned on my mom, and she slapped Candy, then told my dad to kick Ken out of the house. Candy's face turned bright red with anger as she walked back to her room. And just like that, this little drama came to an end. We were running low on food because 6 of us were eating together, and everyone had quite an appetite. My brother's liver cancer was getting worse. He kept eating and puking from the pain. They were counting on the supply deliveries, not worrying about the dwindling food, still eating lavishly. It wasn't until they actually ran out of food that they remembered me. Didn't you say supplies would be delivered? Why hasn't it come yet? We're out of food, my dad asked anxiously. I don't know. That's just what I heard. Why don't you wait a little longer? I responded, faking concern. When are you coming back? When are you bringing the medicine? My brother grabbed the phone and demanded answers. I can't come back right now. I got swept into a sewer by the typhoon. I'm stuck here avoiding the storm. My brother got mad and wanted to throw the phone, but my dad snatched it from him just in time. Why don't you two go buy some food? My dad suggested, pointing to my mom and Candy. Why is it me again? It's dangerous out there. Why don't you go? My mom argued back. Isn't shopping for groceries usually women's work? If you don't go, we'll all starve, he shot back. My mom fell silent. But soon she was bundled up in a coat, heading out with Candy. Candy didn't want to go, but in this house, she had no say. So she reluctantly followed my mom out. They didn't expect a raging typhoon. Candy was swept away instantly. My mom, being a bit heavier, managed to make it to a nearby grocery store, grabbed some meat, and hurried back home, drenched and without her umbrella. When she reached the front door, she was soaked, knocking frantically, coughing as she did. My dad and brother stood at the door, exchanged a look. Then my brother opened the door so my dad could snatch away what she was carrying. They quickly shut the door again, leaving my mom outside, crying and shouting. But they just said, "You're sick, don't spread it to us. Come in when you're better." Inside, they complained about the meager amount she brought back, saying it wasn't even enough for a tooth gap. In these end times, they were just as selfish as they used to be. Forget about her, let's cook the meat first. We'll figure out the rest later, my dad suggested selfishly. The three of them cooked the precious meat and ate it cheerfully, smiles on their faces. Outside, my mom kept knocking and calling out. John wanted to let her in, but was stopped by my brother. "If you go out, you're not coming back in," my brother warned him. John retreated back to the couch to watch TV. Decades of marriage and parenting thrown away just like that. My dad and brother were really cold-hearted. The news from the Weather Bureau kept saying the weather's bad. Don't go out unless necessary. My brother started kicking stuff around in frustration. When would this apocalypse end? Just wait a bit longer. It should be over soon, my dad said to himself. But after a few days they ran out of food again. My mom starved to death outside. The three of them didn't care, never even checking on her. Even though I knew karma would catch up with them, it was still chilling to witness. I hummed a little tune, sipped my drink, and watched them bicker and fall apart. It felt deserved. My dad and brother searched the whole house, despair in their eyes. They had truly run out of food. Finally, they turned to the houseplants. My dad threw the flowers into a pot and cooked them. He even cut up the couch leather and tossed it in, saying they just needed to survive, not starve. The couch leather boiled into mush, filling the air with a nasty stench. "It smells awful." They all covered their noses. But my brother, determined to survive, tasted it. He spat it out immediately. "This stuff's terrible." Curious, my dad gave it a try, his face twisting with bitterness. Desperate, he forced himself to swallow it. Seeing his dad, my brother begrudgingly ate some too, making John do the same. John couldn't keep it down, spitting it out repeatedly. Eventually, even my brother gave up on forcing him. At last, my brother told my dad to go find food. My dad knew what he was up to and refused. So they sat in the house, doing nothing, waiting. "Where's Linda? Is she dead? Can she come back?" My dad suddenly remembered me. My heart skipped a beat as my phone rang again. They only call me when they need something. I picked up the phone, feeling annoyed. Angry words came through the line. "When are you coming back? We're out of food here, just waiting for you to bring supplies." My dad's familiar voice filled my ear. Then he added with pain, "Your mom and sister-in-law got swept away by the typhoon while looking for supplies. Be careful when you come back. Dad, I really miss you guys, but I'm stuck in the sewers. I've even been catching rats to eat. I'm afraid I can't make it back." My voice cracked with tears. I imagined the terrified looks on my dad and brother's faces. But in the end, they just said, "If you can make it back, bring supplies as soon as possible." I chuckled bitterly inside. Turns out I'm still useful to them. A week later, I watched the weather improve from a secret observation point. News reports announced the end of the apocalypse like typhoon. We would finally see the light. The sky brightened, and the months-long downpour eased. The typhoon was gone. In our neighborhood, they were checking who survived. I started my journey home. Opening the front door, a foul smell hit me instantly. The place was a wreck, furniture overturned, stuff scattered everywhere. 3 twisted bodies showed their last moments of struggle frozen in time. When the 3 faced uneven rationing, they turned on each other, and no one gave in. In the end, hunger killed all 3 at home. I shook my head at their lifeless forms. On the news, my mom and Candy's faces appeared. They had perished in the typhoon apocalypse too. The typhoon apocalypse passed. Greedy, selfish people faced the consequences. Not long after, the insurance company called, depositing a few million in death benefits into my account. After burying the 5 of them, I smiled softly at the money and sold the house. I got a cozy little apartment instead. I used a part of the compensation to buy essentials, making the small apartment warm and comfy. The city was slowly coming back to life, and I joined the rebuilding efforts. I worked with volunteers to clear debris and to lift fallen trees from the typhoon. Standing on my balcony, gazing at the starry sky, my heart filled with hope for the future. I smiled. This time, I'm going to live a more amazing life. The end.